Furious Driving, proud to be supported by Diamond Bright, protecting, cleaning and caring for the Furious fleet and for yours, with 10% off using code FD10. Follow the links in the description below. Hello and welcome to Furious Driving, but I think I'm going to rename the channel today Slightly Miffed Driving, because, well, we're back with the Rover P6 V8 again, and it doesn't matter, I've got mugs made of the damn thing, it still won't run properly. So today, because I love doing that kind of stuff, we're going back over old ground, because things aren't quite right. Come with me and have a look. So I've basically got two pretty basic problems with this car. First of all, well, this temperature gauge doesn't work, which I think is possibly a dashboard problem. But related to that, it's missing some bits in the cooling system, which we're going to look at. That's fairly basic. But secondly, the new alternator, which I put in the other day, doesn't sound healthy. In fact, when this car cameoed on the MX-5 video the other day, I said the alternator sounds terrible, and a few people then commented immediately, your car sounds terrible, what's the problem with it? And the answer is still the alternator. So this is cold start, I should have to say. Just make sure the choke is pulled out. Yep. First start of the morning. Oh, I need my BL special equipment clothes pegs installed just there on the choke, and now it won't start at all. It was going so well. Too much choke. Need more cowbell.
I gotta have more cowbell.
Come on, car. Okay, it's not doing it now. Yesterday when I went to go move the car, it sounded like it was about to explode, and it was the alternator. I was just starting. The chirp is beginning. Right, the last couple of times I started this car, it sounded terrible. It actually looks like the fan belt's a bit loose. That looks very loose down the bottom. Oh wow, look at that! Right, I've slackened this right off, and there's a little bit of a wobble on the shaft, which is a little curious, but I don't think that's going to be a major issue. So you can see it's not completely true, but having said that, it's also completely silent. So I don't think that's the issue here. This is where you need about 9 hands, because you need 1 to tension it and 2 to tighten it up, which is great fun. What I think had actually happened is the belt appeared to have got slightly loose and jumped into the big gap on the front of the pulley rather than being in its correct little slot, and so the whole thing was on the wonk and too loose. So hopefully that's why it was squeaking. Okie doke, let's go and see if that still makes a horrible squeaky noise. That sounds a lot better. Something's rattling, I don't know what. I can hear a whistling, but I can't hear a squeaking. Any bit of tuning needs going. Maybe the idle's a little bit low, and so it starts to judder and rattle. Well, I think we've got that first one fixed. Tick! There we go, the amp meter is now in the plus side again. When I drove it the other night with the squeaking alternator, that's when I kind of discovered it, it was well into the minuses because it wasn't fully charging. It was spinning a bit, but not really enough. And next up I'm going to have a little look at the temperature gauge to work out if it's this thing here, which is not working, or if it's something else. So down here is the sender for the temperature gauge, I believe, that's the one. So I'll find a bit of metal, earth that out and see what happens. So what I need is a bobby pin. Now where on earth am I going to find a bobby pin?
Here, in space, at this hour. I think I've got something that just might work. A bobby pin.
What the hell's a man doing with a bobby pin?
It's actually a split pin. Put that in there. So that is now earthed by touching that metal pin to that metal bolt. So we should now have, when I flick the key, full doodarage on temperature gauge. No, we have absolutely nothing. That's really interesting. So we've still got something dead on this side, which I think is the dashboard now. So we're going to ignore problem number 2 for the moment, because that means taking the dashboard apart and playing with very old electronics, which is, I've said before, electric's not really one of my favourite games. So we're going to move on to a new problem number 2, ignore that previous problem number 2, pretend that doesn't exist and we never spoke about it. Oh, look at those two. They've seen me, they don't like being watched. Anyway, as I was saying, the cooling system. Right, so now I am frequently dumping large amounts of coolant onto the floor. Last time I drove it through traffic on a warm day, I lost about half the radiator full. Now, of course, we have got the radiator cap itself, which is designed to do its job and vent out of this little vent hole just here, literally as simple as that spring is rated to a certain pressure. When the spring lifts, it falls out of here, runs down across all my electrics for the headlights and makes them stop working. Brilliant plan. But secondly, there's also slightly lower down this actual pipe, which goes in just there. You can just about make out the top of it just inside the neck of the filler. If you blow into that pipe, it will make bubbles come up from the bottom of the tank. Now this, I believe, goes off to the inlet manifold. However, in all the years I've had this car, it never has, and I can only assume that was once the water inlet just there. It's not anymore, it's a solid lump of metal. I'm assuming it's never made any difference. The car's never run particularly well, so maybe it does make a huge difference, I don't know. But anyway, what I'm going to do though is use this as an overflow instead, because these days modern cars have an expansion tank as part of the cooling system, where instead of all the radiator getting high pressure, it goes into a pressurised bottle somewhere on the bulkhead to take the pressure out. There's also a more basic version of that, where it's literally just a receiving tank for the water to sit into until it all cools down and it can flow back down into the radiator again. Now initially I bought this thing, which is really sparkly and cool. Turns out it's actually an oil catch can. I like the look of it though. I'm quite keen to use that one because that will look really rather cool. I'm not sure it's big enough though. So also I went and purchased this one, which does suit the vibe quite well. Either of which can sit here on this corner of the bulkhead. I've seen photos of other P6s which have used an expansion tank type system to work, and they have fitted just there without any issue, so that is what I will do as well. Now when this had a problem the other day, and I put a little video short up about it, a couple of people commented how a working cooling system shouldn't need any assistance and it should be fine as it is, and clearly it's got a problem with another part of the system. Not entirely true in this case. This was always radically underrated. The radiator was always too small, the fan wasn't efficient enough. These things used to cut out in traffic all the time back in the 70s. That's why I've got an electric fuel pump, because they would get vapor lock, they would overheat. And it was just a really underdeveloped system. A thing I would like to get onto this car once I've got it all running properly is a triple row aluminium radiator, because that will make a huge difference to the car running properly. But because this car's currently got the automatic 3-speed with the oil cooler built into the bottom 10 centimetres of the radiator itself, if I took this radiator out, I either have to have an expensive dual radiator made to cope with that, or I have to find a new home for a separate oil cooler for the gearbox, or I could just wait till I've done the manual conversion and then not have to worry about having an oil cooler at all for the transmission, and just have a much bigger radiator for the engine, which is my preferred choice. It's the least faff and expense in terms of parts that can be wasted and thrown away, although converting auto to manual is not necessarily the cheapest path to fitting a cheaper radiator. Anyway, that's by the by. I need to go and find some nuts and bolts and a drill. I had a slight tidy up this morning. I put the drill away. That was a silly thing to do. There's a lesson there. Don't put stuff away. So I see the July app is not responding currently. Once again, very glad I did take the time to build this thing over winter. So what I'm going to do is mount this thing just here on this flat edge, right there. A couple of little whatnot bolts down there. Robert's your father's brother as usual. In we go. When you're locating one of these things, what you need to be aware of is that it does need to be higher than the level of the radiator. So when hot water comes glugging up into there under pressure, it can flow back down into the radiator. So I've got my 2 holes drilled just there. I've found a couple of nuts and bolts I can fit through into the inner wing, no problem. Now this kit comes with loads of different options. You've got blanking plugs, got a few of them. We can choose to put like a sight level up the side of it, but I don't think I want to do that because it's above the radiator and it's not like a water storage area, so I'm not that worried about it. So I shall just blank off everything I don't need. Or shall I do that? I don't know. Shall I do that? It might look pretty. It would look pretty to do that, but that's what they call in the airline industry a SPOF, a single point of failure. So having a little sort of clear pretty bit of pipe in there could blow off and cause me grief, or it could never be a problem at all. I don't know. Go with pretty or not pretty? what to do. Also, it's mounted at a funny angle, so it's pretty pointless anyway. The thing I have just noticed, which is actually more of an issue, is that the pipe on the side of the radiator is a lot smaller than the pipe here, which means fitting them at either end is going to be irksome. Right, so that's now mounted to the bulkhead. I have actually had to use a little glass tube thing, or rubber clear tube, even though I don't want to because there weren't enough fittings to not use it. So now to try and make this too small pipe fit onto the too big fitting, I'm doing the old trick of a cup of boiling water to try and soften it down as much as I can. So we shall see how that goes. Right, let's see if it'll do it. Problem is it's actually almost too hot to touch now. Ow, 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 ow. It's on, but it's cooling down now and I can't get it to go any further. That's annoying. It's almost made it, so I'll try again. At least it's stretched it a little bit. Come on, you so-and-so, get on there. It's on there a couple of ridges, so it should be generally okay. And it's clamped on so tight, I can't imagine it going anywhere ever now. That can then feed around the back of the brake servo and to the little pipe just there. Okay, there we go, that is now plumbed in. So hopefully we're now not going to keep on blowing all the coolant across the floor. And while I'm here, I have got, where's it gone? Another bit of pipe which I'm about to fit onto there, so that whenever the thing does get too hot for words and does actually vent out of there, it will do it onto the floor, not all over the engine bay again, because that was just annoying. Right, so this is now stuff that this car has never had in all the time I've owned it. Oh, it's leaking out. Where's it leaking out from? Oh, there's a hole in the bottom. Oh, for crying out loud. Why would there be a hole in the bottom? That's just infuriating. Ugh. Okay, so there's not enough fixings to plug that. Oh, Amazon is so bad sometimes. I guess I'm not taking this car with me this afternoon then after all. Fine. Jolly good. Have I said marvellous yet? Because marvellous. Okay, right, and we'll figure out what the hell can stick in there. Right, well that was far harder than it needed to be because that is a really, really big size of thread. And yeah, so thankfully the big boxes of random bolts that never get thrown away came to the rescue, smothered in lots of silicone sealant that's currently setting in the bottom of there. As soon as that's dried, I can take this thing for a test drive, and hopefully that means I can now drive this thing through traffic without dumping all of its coolant everywhere. In fact, this is the first time in all the years I've had this car that I've had any kind of escape plan or plan B for the coolant when it's trying to leave the radiator. This car has never run properly, and perhaps this is one of the reasons why it was never running properly, because yeah, it wasn't cooling properly either. So I don't know, maybe finally we're getting all the things that are wrong with this car sorted out after all the years I've had it. So this is now another stage closer. Should we fire it up one more time just because it sounds so nice? Oh, go on then, you've persuaded me. Oh, that's interesting. I need some glue, that's falling off, or cracked off. There's always something, isn't there? So there we go, another 2 steps forward and only 1 step back today. So, yay? Probably? I don't know. Every time I touch this car, something else breaks, but it's a recommissioning, new build kind of deal, so there's always going to be a list of snags that you have to work through. I don't think the radiator's bolted on properly. But gradually we're getting there. I mean, this car, I've said it before, has always kind of had a grudge against me. It's hated me, and I've done my best to work with it and do the best by it. So I'm hoping that maybe, as I'm showing it so much attention, it will start to come together. It'll be the good car I want it to be. Mrs. Furious really wants me to sell this. She's never massively liked this car, and she's like, well, that's probably the most valuable car you've got, why don't you sell it and put the money into something else? And part of me agrees with her, because yeah, if a car hates you, it's never going to be right. But on the other hand though, I've put so much time into this car, I'd really like to drive it for at least one summer, just to see how it goes, but I don't know. I'll see how much more it breaks in the near future and how much more fixing it takes. But look at it, it's so nearly there and it looks so good. I have no clue what this yellow dust is down the side of the engine bay. It's too soon to be harvest dust. It looks like concrete or brick dust, but I don't know where that would come from. Very odd indeed. Oh, I know what it is. It's that ancient G3, G6, where it is polish that's run down the side, turned into even more fine powder than it was before. My own fault. I need to get a new pot of that and repolish the bonnet. Doesn't look bad. I didn't show you what that looks like now. If you can see through the dust, it actually does look pretty good. There's a little bit of not quite polished yet hazing up here, which I need to do more polishing onto, and I didn't sand enough on the front lip, but everywhere else, it's what, a week on or so now I guess, it's still showing a really good gloss. So we mostly have saved this. I need to go and buy some sort of polishing compound like the body shops use, but we're basically done. Fantastic. Right, I'm going to say goodbye at this point, so thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, the usual business. Head over to fearofstriving.co.uk where you can find all the mugs I've been using to heat up bits of rubber hose. And if you're in need of tools, head to the Amazon affiliate link in the description below where you'll find much of the stuff I've been using. And if you click on any of those affiliate links on Amazon and then buy anything else on the entire site, a tiny kickback comes to me for sending you there, and it helps keep the channel rolling. Thank you for watching. Join me again next time, don't know, Crown Vic maybe, Tomcat, Freelander, I don't know, we'll fix something else soon probably. Goodbye.